today really sucks.
I'm 28 years old, and I really think that I should have been an engineer. I think I messed up. And it sucks that we're expected to make life decisions at 18. We're supposed to make a decision of what we're going to do for the rest of our life at 18 years old. Of course, I made the wrong decision.
I regret becoming a paralegal, and here's why: I'd never do it again. Attorneys are the most difficult people in the world to work for, talk to, email with, everything. Second reason, if you want to get spoken to like you're a peasant every day, then sure, become a paralegal. I know this isn't everybody's experience. Just before you go through with it, just make sure, you keep that in mind. Follow me because I talk about this shit every day. Like, share, repost. I love ya.
Let's talk about why I regret becoming a medical assistant. And before I get into it, I just want to say this is no shade or hate to anybody who is content with being a medical assistant. This is strictly my opinion and how I feel. Let's get into it. So the reason I even became a certified medical assistant in the first place is because the school I was going to, they basically told me that in order to get accepted into any of the other competitive programs like ultrasound tech, that you had to become a medical assistant first. So that's why I did it in the first place, because my original plan was to go to ultrasound school. It's honestly my own fault. I didn't do as much research as I probably should have before even getting into the MA program. But the reasons why I regret it is because, number one, it's so hard to find a job. I'm in Houston, Texas, and it is so hard to find a job. Number two, they pay super, super, super bad. If I knew the amount the medical assistant would get paid, I would have never did this program because, and not to sound weird or anything, but I make more from social media than I do in MA, so why would I go work as an MA? Another thing, people at HEB right now are making $17.50 an hour in Texas. Think about it, it's in Texas. People who are in high school working at HEB making more or the same as medical assistants, a person who just went to school for 9 months. That does not make any sense to me. Keep in mind, I am in Texas, so obviously cost of living is different, so minimum wage is different, but there's literally medical assistant jobs on Indeed hiring for $12.50 an hour. I would never in my life work for $12.50 an hour as a medical assistant. Never. They don't tell you this when you join the program because they just obviously want your money. They want you to join the program so they get paid, of course. It's a for-profit school, the one I went to at least. But there's so many medical assistants and not enough job positions in Houston, I feel like, for the medical assistants. It takes 9 months to become a medical assistant, and then everybody after is looking for a job, and all these places want experience. But it's how do you have experience if you just graduated? Medical assistant is a great step in the healthcare field to make sure you like it, but honestly for me, I wish if I was going to do something that short that I honestly just went for my LPN from the beginning, because I realized I do want to become a nurse. So I low-key feel like my medical assistant program was literally a waste of money, of time. Obviously I did learn a lot, and it did bring me to the fact that I knew from my medical assistant program that I do want to pursue nursing, which is good, but now obviously I have student loans that I have to pay for something that I didn't even find worth it. It's just honestly so insane to me that people will literally go to school for 9 months, my school was $18,000, spend that amount and get out and make $12.50. $12.50 times 40, that's not even 3 times the rent. I wouldn't even be able to pay my rent with that. It's honestly so crazy. How can you even pay back your student loans making $12.50? I was making $12.50 back in 2016, 2017 up north. I know it's different, but still, why would I work for $12.50 now when I'm a mom, I have a house, I have a bills? That just doesn't make sense to me at all. And again, the last thing I want this video to do is bash medical assistants, because if you're content with it, it's your life. It just doesn't make sense for my life and the lifestyle I live and want to live. I suggest that if you do think you want to go into nursing, skip the MA part and just go right for your LPN if you want to do something quick, because I know the LPL programs are 12 months and my MA was 9 months. So I would literally wish I just went to school an extra 3 or 4 months and just got my LPN, and I would have been an LPN now instead of MA and making way more money than an MA does. But that is why I regret getting my medical assistant license or certificate.
You done spent all that money, man. Make sure y'all pick the right career. Let's look at the next clip.
I started university as an art major, and I graduated with a computer science degree. I had 2 computer science internships, one at a local company, one at Microsoft. I think I returned offer to either of them because I'm a failure. And that's not imposter syndrome talking. I wish it was, but being surrounded by people who are super passionate about it, people who hosted events as presidents of the clubs. I was the president of a computer science club in my school too, but I just felt like a fake standing next to these people who just love programming, who are doing research and putting all their time, energy, and effort into these things. And I'm just there cheating, using GPT, copying people's homework, putting my name on projects I didn't work on, and I walk out with a degree and a full-time offer, which I'm super grateful for and super thankful for. But if I could turn back time and stop myself from pivoting, I kind of would, because unfortunately I'm not in the money's everything group, because I was getting paid maybe $2,000-$3,000 every 2 weeks, like $2,000 every 2 weeks at Microsoft, and I still wanted to off a bridge, you know? So I need to try to pivot back, and if anyone's like me, I hope that you guys know it's never too late. I thought that it was too late to pivot to CS, to be honest. When I was in school, I was like, I'm already a sophomore, this is going to delay my graduation. I ended up taking 5 total years to graduate, which isn't a bad thing. I thought that I wasn't going to be good enough for CS. I was kind of right though. But you know, life is scary, but what's scarier is kind of being drained, like going to work and dreading it, you know? I mean, maybe that's just life, but I kind of don't want that to be my life. So, who knows? But it's never over until it is over, when we're on the ground, but yeah.
I'm a doctor, and I hate it. I hate my job. I'm in my 30s. I finished residency last year, and I'm working as an attending, and I hate it, and I don't want to do it. I can't do it forever. Like, I cannot, and I don't want to even do it for another year, and I don't know what to do. I feel trapped. I am so tired. Everyone complains. No one is ever happy. People are happy, but you don't remember the happy people. You remember the angry or the upset people, and I am already burnt out, and I'm in my 30s, and I don't know what to do. So I've resorted to posting as an orange just to vent, because I can't post this on my normal TikTok page, because who's gonna go see their doctor that hates their job and is talking about how they don't want to be a doctor?
I'm going to expose myself. My biggest career regret is not understanding the trajectory of the salaries in the industry that I was entering. When I started working, I wanted a really good graduate salary. And honestly, my company had a really good graduate salary and a good bonus to start with, and it compared well in the market. However, I should have been thinking about what are the salaries looking 5 to 10 years from now. And this industry is not busing the way I thought it would bust. What's busing are those finance industries, and I should have just gone into trading or something. So yes, if you have not picked a career path, really ask yourself, in 10 years time, what is the earning potential here? And is it the sort of earning potential I want? Or do you want to be able to like quadruple 5x your salary in 10 years or something like that? Because now I'm like, okay, I should pivot to a more lucrative industry. That and sales. Sales? Them commissions?
I don't live with regret, but I think I botched my early 20s when I started my corporate career, and let this be a warning to you. I absolutely recommend that you save a lot of money and put yourself in a good financial position, but I focused so hard on saving and getting out of debt. At the time, mid-2010s, I got out of school, pretty standard wage, like pretty good, out of school, $65K as an engineer, and I saved 36% of that, to the point where I'm reviewing my budget and saving an extra $50 to $200 a month. And only when I switched to sales, I ended up having a great run and have continued to grow it. But just as quick perspective, in 2 years, I more than tripled my income. Let that sit in, okay? In 2 years in sales, I more than tripled my income. And previously, when I was an engineer with a fixed salary, all I was doing was being 100% focused on how can I save more? I'm going home and reading financial literacy books, which again, I'm not knocking that, but it's so easy to do today to like, hey, if you want to save 25, 30, 35% of your income, just automate it. Really don't have to think about it much more than that now. Everything makes it so easy. And if there is one regret I have, I don't live my life looking backwards. But I think even if I had just given myself a little bit more room to breathe, saved 30% instead of 35, ultimately focused more on high earning careers, high earning career paths, promoting, you name it. Early on in your 20s, that is where you're going to get the most benefit. You can save an extra $100, $200 a month. Congratulations, you just saved $2,400. But if you work your ass off and you learn the corporate game and you get a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year promotion within a year and a half to 2 years, you've more than made up for that alone. So both things can exist at both times. I'm not saying be reckless. I'm not saying I wish I spent my entire paycheck. In fact, I don't. And I'm fortunate to be in a decent financial position because of that discipline early on. But if you're getting to the point where you're trying to shave an extra $50, like, you're missing the point.
Yeah, man, make sure y'all like that job, man. Especially if you went to college for it. That's really the only way. If you didn't go to college, you could just leave, you know. But let's look at this next clip, man.
There has to be more to life than me crying over spreadsheets every single day.
Let me tell you all the reasons why I regret getting into cybersecurity. Just kidding. There's no reasons. Love it.
4 years later, I'm regretting the major that I chose in college. Hey, my name's Kayla. I was first a nursing major who decided to switch over into her passion, which was social media, so public relations with a minor in mass media. And I cannot live how I want to live. I can't afford a lot of things. A lot of these jobs for that major is paying below $40,000 or maybe right at $40,000. And that's with a bachelor's degree. And sometimes it kind of hurts seeing how all the other majors, of course, you know, they put in that hard work to get where they are. But seeing people come out and making $70,000, $75,000, $80,000. Low-key kind of want to go back into nursing because, y'all, I'm not gonna lie. My credit card is tired of swiping at Goodwill. I'm just gonna be honest. Let me know what y'all think. How do y'all feel? What's y'all majors?
Obsessed with this comment. My sister's an attorney and she has a house in a very expensive city in America. I've tried to put a coffee on a payment plan, and when that didn't work, I tried to pay with a silver dollar that a lady on Facebook Marketplace paid me in, and they're like, ma'am, we're absolutely not taking the silver dollar. And I was like, that's outrageous. This is US currency. And they're like, can you not just pay like a normal person? Yeah, I can in 3 to 8 business days when my various online consignment earnings come through. And you'll be sorry when I take that $33 elsewhere. Big mistake. Huge.
A study recently came out that said over 40% of doctors regret their career choice. So I get asked a lot, do I? I don't know. I'm 31, no kids, no spouse, freezing my eggs. The hospital is basically a second home. I owe the government $200,000. You often do your best, and your best is still not enough. There are a lot of enemies in medicine: hospital CEOs, insurance companies, a mistrust in the medical system by many, which is often understandable. I don't know. I feel fulfilled almost every day. When we are able to help someone, it is the best feeling in the world. I love my coworkers who have become my second family in my second home. I've still been able to accomplish many non-medical goals, like climb Mount Kilimanjaro this past summer, and I hope to hit 40 countries traveled to this spring. I don't know. I'm 31. I've done 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school, 1 master's degree. I'm on year 5 of 7 of my general surgery residency, still staring down a 2-year fellowship. I won't fully be in my job to give an adequate answer until I'm 37. So I don't know, but I hope not.
See, I like that video. She was really balanced. She said she doesn't know, but she laid out everything that's going on in her life. That way you can be like, hey, do I want that life? That life kind of sounds good. That life kind of sounds crazy. Let's look at the next clip, though.
4 reasons why I think becoming a pharmacist is one of the worst career choices you could ever make. First of all, to become a pharmacist, you have to get your doctorate degree. That can take 8 years, and that will cost you around $200,000 if you're lucky. Second of all, when you graduate from pharmacy school, now you have this loan of $200,000. Well, guess what? You're going to be upside down on your loan automatically because you will find no job that will pay you close to $200,000. You will most likely get paid $100,000. So how does that make any sense? You paid $200,000 to get this degree that cost you 8 years, and now you're only making $100,000. On top of that, pharmacists usually barely ever get any raises. So if you do start off, let's just say even at $110,000, you probably will not get a raise ever in your career. And if you do, you are so lucky if it's 2%. And with inflation being 7% some years, like, you're making less every single year. Third of all, there has been so many new pharmacy schools that has opened up in the last 10 years, and there is a surplus of pharmacists. And so you are literally a number to every healthcare system, to every CVS, to every Rite Aid. They will fire you over nothing, and they will give you such lowball offers when you're looking for a job, and they don't care if you don't take it because there's literally 100 other pharmacists lined up to get that job. And the last reason why becoming a pharmacist is literally one of the worst things you can do to yourself is because most of the jobs are in retail pharmacy. So think CVS and Rite Aid, right? We went to school and we have so much knowledge, but when you work for retail, you cannot even apply any of your knowledge because guess what? CVS does not want you to stand there and counsel a patient or help answer questions for 10 minutes. What they want you to do is be behind the counter putting pills in a bottle because that's how they make their money. And so it's really sad because they then push you to just fill as many bottles as possible really fast, under stress, with the phone ringing, customers there, sometimes the drive-through. You're so stressed that you could be making a mistake, and then you're not able to use any of your clinical knowledge or actually talk to patients and form these relationships and do what you went to pharmacy school to do, because corporate America only sees you as literally a hamster on a wheel, and you need to run as fast as you can. And honestly, there's probably like 10 other reasons why I would never recommend for anyone to become a pharmacist. Let me know if you guys are interested in listening, because I can definitely make a part 2. But some of the reasons are why I quit my pharmacist job and I started my own supplement company, and I'm just a full-time entrepreneur now because I did not want to deal with the BS of the job market. So I made a video on why I regret becoming a pharmacist and why it's one of the worst career moves you could ever make. And it basically went viral. And I want to share a few other careers that I would never become or recommend to my kids. So the first one is becoming a nurse. So I understand that travel nurses can make a lot of money, but if you're not a travel nurse and you don't have the luxury to move around all the time, then becoming a regular nurse is terrible because you have so much workload, so stressful, and you don't make that much. The second thing would be a nurse practitioner and a PA, and that's because you have all the responsibilities of a physician, but then you don't have the pay of a physician. The third one is I would never recommend for anyone to become a lawyer, because if you look at the job outlook for the next 10 years, you will see that it is poor, just like as a pharmacist. The jobs are going down, AI is taking it over, it's so stressful, the burnout is real, it's not worth it. As a social worker, because you have a heavy caseload, emotionally draining situations, and really limited resources to help your patients.
Here's one of my biggest regrets as somebody who pursued a creative career as a 9-to-5. Let's get into it. Now, I can't speak for absolutely everyone, but most creatives I know don't want to be doing their creative field or their creative job or skill in a 9-to-5 basis. So say you're a photographer, you don't necessarily want to be working for one company for the rest of your life. You'd rather do that as a freelancer where people are coming to you and you get to pick the projects. Same if you're somebody who wants to do production or wants to do makeup, hair, whatever kind of creative you are. A lot of people don't actually want to do that as a 9-to-5. It's more of a dream for them to have their own business or be a freelancer or just be known within the industry and then be able to pick. So as somebody who worked in the marketing, media and advertising industry, I essentially picked that my 9-to-5 was going to be in that realm. Now, most creatives do know that the creative industry salaries in the UK are extremely low, and I can tell you that for a fact. So my issue is that once you actually pick your creative career as a 9-to-5, you're always going to be in a catch-22, because your 9-to-5 is supposedly something fun that's going to give you experience, that might give you connections and contacts, but because your money is not that much, sometimes you don't have enough time to work on what you really want to work on as a side hustle or to fund your business, because a 9-to-5 isn't enough. So my regret, or something that I would advise to other young creatives up and coming, is actually try to qualify in a high income skill. So say, for example, you want to study finance, or you want to study law, or you want to study business. I would say have a more academic backup. The reason I say that is because I know people who, for example, work in finance, but they're interested in the sneaker world. And because their actual 9-to-5 pays them a good amount at a rate, and then even with the bonuses and they get private healthcare and they get all these amazing benefits, it means that they're able to then fund their side hustle, build it up. And do you know what I mean? Whereas when you work in a 9-to-5 in the creative industry, the financials is just not there, and then you have no backup. So when you're like, I actually want to do my side hustle, I want to fund my business, I want to do my own thing, you can't. And then another thing is, sometimes if you're creative but you have to be forced to be creative at a company, that a lot of the time doesn't even allow you to be creative, because they have caps on, how amazing you can do, especially if you're like young Gen Z working for a brand that wants to be cool with TikTok. You give them ideas and they constantly shut you down, talking about brand safety and all these things, right? So you're now being creative, being shut down. A lot of the time that can actually affect your brain and the way you think unconsciously, so that now you're not even as creative for your own business. Or worse, you're giving out your ideas that you could do for your own thing for your 9-to-5, and the lines just get blurred and you're no longer able to kind of separate what you do and who you are as a person with your 9-to-5 and what you do there. Now, granted, I've managed to make it work out. I've done my time, 6 years working in marketing, digital marketing, influencer marketing, media partnerships, branding. I've done it. And now I'm like moving on to my own thing. I freelance, I speak, I have my own business. But sometimes I do look back and think, you know, it would have been nice to have qualified in something else as well, because it's always good to have a backup. So that's my regret, guys. You know, it's up to you what you want to do, that information. At the end of the day, you know, you don't need mad qualifications to get into the industry. But I always say, if you're still not too sure about exactly what you want to do in the creative industry, it might be better to qualify in something a little bit more academic, a little bit more secure, where you know how much money you can make, you know, it's very structured and set out for you. And then you use your time for your side hustles and your projects and your hobbies to explore what you want to do in the creative industry, to then, you know, eventually transition when you're ready. So that's my regret.
I feel you on that, sister. Creative jobs can be draining, especially if you're trying to be creative outside of work. You get home, you don't want to do nothing outside of work, creative, hell, probably in general. That's why I personally didn't pick a creative job myself. I can't do it. I want all my creative juices to be for me. But look at this next clip.
Okay, so I know that people say go to school for what you're passionate about, and I did that. Right out of high school, I went to college for criminal justice, and upon realizing that degree does nothing for me, anytime I ask somebody, how did they get to where they are in this field? They just said they applied. I asked, do they have a degree? They tell me no. Because most of the stuff in that field, you're going to learn while on the job training. So I'm getting a degree in criminal justice just because they say they want a degree. Now, mind you, most of the stuff that at least I plan on pursuing with my degree is not the most money in the world. And of course, I'm working to like my job and to get money. But not realizing that in this economy, thank goodness for free will, that I plan on doing sterile processing tech. Why? This just came out of nowhere. Why again? Because I want to. Because why the hell not?
You see, hearing what she went through in that video, I mean, I'm just so glad I didn't go to college, man. I'm just so glad. That is one thing I did right. And like, that is whatever the opposite of a regret is. That is one thing that I appreciate. Okay. That's one thing I'm so glad. Okay. Young Josh, thank you. Okay. Because look, I agree. A lot of some stuff, I feel like that's how it is. I think they're trying to remove the paper ceiling for some of these jobs. Now, a doctor, a surgeon, stuff like that, you better have a degree. But don't you ain't finna cut my heart open if I don't see no paper, sir, ma'am. Okay, but man, I agree what she's saying. It's kind of like a trap, man. You get that degree, you better do something with it. Somebody gonna hire me. That's how you feel, man. But it's Josh from Talk to Him, boy. And if y'all know anybody going through this, let me know. Click this video right here if y'all want to see more college drama and more people regretting college, man. It's a good one. I'ma holler at y'all. Peace.